Well, this is disappointing. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
You didn't hear me swear then, did you?
I read your lips. There's 3 of us on and it's 2 minutes up. That's disappointing.
You're fine. Everybody's late.
Well, they won't get the listing. Just the 3 of us are gonna get the listing.
I'm gonna wear my
No,
face.
don't.
I'm gonna
Don't
wear
do
my
that.
face covering like that.
Don't do that. No,
Why not?
no, don't do that.
Look, I'm crowning.
Oh God, he's so gross. This is being recorded, you know. My God. Lord Almighty.
Look,
So
I'm actually
I read to page.
today.
Woo!
Imagine that.
I read to page 210 and I'm like, oh, I think I went past. I should have had everyone read page 210, but
Yeah.
oh well.
I'm not gonna shitter. I read it last night though.
I know, that's good. Wait till you see what I did. You're gonna be so proud. I don't know if you'd be proud. You might
Did
not
you get
even
my
care.
email yesterday?
Your pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have them on a PowerPoint.
Place is solid.
Well, I'm gonna ask you some questions about that.
Hey, apparently I don't know how to clean up my desk though. Like, some things will never change.
Nope.
Total slob.
Hi, Margaret.
Good morning. I won't show you my desk. Oh, Lord have mercy.
I lost my wallet at my CMA this morning.
Hi to see ya.
Hello, Kristen. Thank you for that wonderful 1 hour of accountability
Yeah.
this morning.
Good today, huh?
Yeah.
I thought it went well.
Can't hear you that well.
Me?
Oh, now I can. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I thought it went well. I guess nobody wanted to come on because we were masterminding, but little do they know, there's Patrick.
That guy is incredibly sexy. I'm just putting that out there.
I know.
Thanks, Billy.
You do
I'll
look
watch
alike.
what I say since we're being recorded, although that's never stopped me before, but you know.
Have you just met me?
Yeah, I know,
Filters are for cars.
right? I know Steve's jumping on because I saw him in the hall 2 hours ago.
When I was shopping yesterday, I found that rice that your husband said to get. And I
Are
looked
you
at
the
it.
one? Are you the one that got the wrong rice?
They didn't have the correct rice, so I got the sushi rice instead. And
All
it
right,
came out.
we were trying to remember who it was. I'm like, who was that got the wrong rice? I couldn't remember for the life of me. Oh, it was you.
Oh my God, it came out delicious, but I can't. I looked at it and I said, oh, should I get it? Because somebody commented saying they've made it 3 times in. I said, I can't make, I go, my stretchies are not going to fit if I eat that again.
I know. We just had it the other night. Yeah.
Oh, it's delicious. Oh
Yeah,
my
that was
God.
Steve LeBlanc said that.
Oh, Steve. Yeah. Lord have mercy.
I know.
Hey, Billy, that was a beautiful resort your wife was staying in. Where was that, Jamaica?
Yeah, she's in Ochos Rios right now. She's staying at 3 different resorts, and 2 out of the 3 have 24-hour butler service. It's ridiculous. Yeah. You know, she's like, it rained for 15 minutes today. I'm like, knock it off. It was like 1 below zero yesterday, and
it was 18 this morning.
Yesterday was what I think the first time in years I go, how the hell am I not in Florida or California?
No
that
joke.
was brutal yesterday.
The wind, oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
It was freezing.
After going from 68 degrees to, 0, that's, I knew it was going to be cold all weekend, but I wasn't expecting that.
Nope.
I drove through a snow squall on Sunday.
Oh,
Yep, we did too.
That was
Yep.
crazy.
Yep.
So your wife's in
absolutely
Jamaica?
brutal.
Yeah,
Oh,
she one of the perks about being a travel agent, Margaret, was she got offered by Sandals to go check out 3 of their resorts that are all close. And I mean, it costs nothing. She used her miles for air. And then she decided to piggyback. That was for 5 days. Then she decided to go check out another resort for 3 more days. So it cost her like $400 to go to Jamaica for 8 days. It's just ridiculous. All your food,
Yeah.
you know, and she's like, do you mind if I go? I'm like, hell no, go. I'm like, if you don't, I'm going.
Yeah.
Did she go by herself or did she go with other people, like other travel agents?
A couple different travel agents. So one is a friend of hers who lives in Connecticut.
good.
So they always travel together because I don't know. I don't feel all that, her by herself down there, I don't feel all that good about.
Yeah, right.
But there's a group of like 6 travel agents. So yeah, they're loving it. It's like 81 degrees. She's sending me photos.
It's pretty safe as long as you stay on the hotel range.
Yeah, Jamaica, you don't want to stray.
No.
That's the one with the nude beach, right?
I stayed at the one next door a while ago, Billy. That thing was like amazing. If you guys have never walked into one, I got to tell you, definitely want to throw on some glasses and give it a shot at some point. But you may run into a guy that looks like Billy Stone.
It's an eye opener.
Yeah.
I was a real estate agent back in the day, so I got you to go to Jamaica just like your wife. It was for nothing. They just send you there. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. You know, it's like, Margaret, I don't know if you heard Patrick talking about like why the hell are we here in the winter, and as we're, I'm looking at the people on here, we're all pretty darn close to the same age. Like, why do we do this every winter? Like, why, we talk about these books that we have, and I'm not a KW manual right now, but it happened to be in my office and they're everywhere. But life worth living. Like, why aren't we taking these trips? Like, why aren't we in Florida? Ben jumped on at the perfect timing, talking about, why won't we spend next February in Florida? Like, what's holding us back other than us,
Right. Can I make a correction?
Please.
I'm not the same age as Bill Stone, just for the record.
That is true. You are older than me, though, for the record.
Yeah, like not much.
I go away every year in February to split, except for this year. I just didn't feel right going. But I go away to the Caribbean every year in February, usually for 10 days, every single year. So this year is what it is,
Yeah.
It's
recharges the batteries,
We've done the same thing, Patrick. I tell you, for years, many years, this little device right here never even took the flight with me. I leave it at home for 10 days. And you talk about you want to unplug. That's no email, no text, no social media, no phone calls. And you freak out for a day or two, and then you're like, Jesus, this thing sucks the life out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is amazing that you do that. Holy moly. Because usually you're getting on the flight and Joe Smo wants to put an offer in on a house every single time. It's awful.
I always lose a deal, but you know what? My average sales price is around 10 grand. So that's way less than the divorce is going to cost me. So, way easier.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. I guess I didn't pull a big draw because we didn't have anyone to interview today, but they're a loss because we've got some fun stuff to talk about today. So let's start talking about, what you've read, either thus far or these last chapters, 157 to 197 or something. I ended up reading to 210 last night. I couldn't stop. I was like, oh my God, I should have had everyone read to 210. But we can talk about that next time. But what were your ahas? What did you see that resonated with you? Like, what motivated you out of this?
This was a good one.
It was.
I mean, I'm going to talk a lot today. I'm going to apologize in advance. My wife's been gone. I've been talking to 12-year-olds all week, so I'm just looking for that interaction from some adults. But Chris and I joked right here, talked about your circles, okay? Your 3 circles of your work network. The following pages about that, about building your entire inner circle. Patrick is somebody, and Bill Stone, I know Patrick, we talked about last week, like he's built a business on referral and networking groups, okay? So all he has to do is interchange some of the players. He can include a lot of those same players in this for MREI, but he can also kind of add a few more players in different arenas to that. And I got to tell you, like anything else, building your team is one of the most important aspects of this entire thing, where if you do it alone, you're a fool because there's no need to. So that was a huge takeaway, the inner circle and the team, and how to build it and who to build it with.
Yeah, page 165, literally, look it says Patrick. I've read that and went, that's Patrick. You know, like he has his whole circle, his inner circle, his support circle, and his service circle, right? He knows who he's using, you know, who's giving him money, who's the attorney, who the painters are going to be, what they're going to charge. Like he's got it all. And did you notice they talked about we sell ugly homes, ugly houses? Did you see that? They actually talked about home investors. I don't remember what page it was. Yeah, they did. And I thought about you again when I read that. So, but yeah, I mean, you really get that locked up, you know, and that motivated me to do a little chart of my own, which I'm going to share with you guys just so you can see, you know, what I did. But yeah, I mean, that's really what it's all about. And, you know, that inner circle, you know, the people that your partners, your mentors, people that you can talk to, that you can mastermind with as far as investing, people that care about you. Like that's what we do here twice a month, guys.
Well, I'll tell you something important that actually just came up this morning. Well, I have a young couple buying a house in Somerville, and they are very ethical, extremely, and they're having an issue getting insurance, like big time issue, because they're going to have 3 months work done while they're not living there. The deal with the institution is not going to give them a loan. It's a slam dunk, and they're putting down like 300 grand, and they don't want to lie and say, you know, we're just getting regular insurance. So their father's the attorney, is in my group, and he goes, I don't know what we're going to do. I says, I know exactly what you're going to do. And I pulled up the insurance I go through that I use in Texas. It's called Arcana, and they do all that stuff like 24/7. And I can give you guys the telephone number if you want it, because you may run into this issue with your client again. So give me 1 second. So they were going to move to another credit union to do this deal through another. I said, no. So big, thank God. Let me get that for you.
Your insurance agent, insurance company.
This is the insurance company. It's called Arcana, or Arcana Insurance, Arcana. And their telephone number is 972-855-3595. All right, so if anybody has any insurance, you know, builder's risk, they're doing this, they're doing that to it, they're the guys who to call. Okay.
Awesome. And there goes the inner circle right there. That was a perfect example of it. Yeah. Awesome. So did you guys, when you read this, when you looked at the inner circle, so the network, right? Did you think of people that you know that you would use? Did you think of who do I need? Who am I missing?
Yeah, Chris, it's funny. The on page 167 at the top is a line that I first heard it from BNI or the networking world, which is just, who do you know that I should know? And it's such a great question. It gets people actually thinking. But I did start making a list of like, okay, I mean, I do have some people. It's just a matter of do something with it. Don't just talk about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this whole section was really about, I mean, we went into the lead gen model, which is the same model as the MREA book, right? Everything's pretty much the same, right? I mean, it tells you what to do, who to go out with, not date, but, you know, have coffee with or whatever, you know, how to network, how to market, and it literally lays it out for you. This is what you should do. These are people you should talk to once a month. These are people you should talk to once a month. These are people you should do this or whatever. And it literally just lays it out to you as an investor, and yet we can use all these same techniques in our real estate business, right? It's the same thing.
Absolutely.
We just happen to be a real estate agent and investors at the same time, right? And I did like, let's see, there's so many things here. I mean, I literally highlighted like the whole book because, you know, I like on page 169, do deals, right? It's one of the 5 rules of engagement, do deals. You must be a player in the real estate investment game. Look for real estate opportunities, make offers and do deals. Otherwise, you're not an investor. You're not taking the advice you're being given, and you're not hiring your network. So don't, and it says, you could be wasting their time. Don't meet with these people, have all this set up, I'm going to use you, and then do nothing with it. Right. Pretend like you want to be one, but you're not, right? So you've got to be in it. You've got to be looking for it. You need to be talking to people. You need to be pre-approved and ready to write offers and do deals.
There's one thing in that, the 5 rules of engagement.
Yep.
Number four, don't shortchange anyone.
Yep.
And I would say on that one there, when I have guys doing work for me, and let's say I figure it's going to cost me 40,000, and sometimes they make mistakes and they come in at 32, 33. I am very upfront with them and say, you got your numbers wrong. I go back to them and I say, because one way or the other, they're going to cut corners and make it work for those numbers. But the same thing, it's showing that you are a stand-up person, and also you're going to pay them, because everybody has to pay their bills. I do, you do, blah, blah, blah. It'd be like us making a mistake in our commission check, send it over to the attorney, maybe missing a figure. So I'm very upfront with them and tell them, I go, no, that's too little. And I've done it over and over and over again, and they respect that. And the same thing for me, if they go way over, I never stick to, I'm not Walmart. I don't stick to, that's $40,000.54. I'm always, if it goes over a little bit, no problem. I'm going to pay you. Right? That way it's like an elastic band. You work with one another instead of trying being cheap and trying to think you're pulling one over on them. It's not the right thing to do. They've got bills to pay, and you got to pay them fairly, or you'll never get them back again to work for you. So
right. Integrity.
Right.
Integrity,
Sure.
do the right thing.
Absolutely.
Period. You can't go wrong if you have integrity and do the right thing.
I'm just to jump in here. I got a buddy of mine who does a lot of flips with me, and he's a nice guy. And he's only done 2. I shouldn't say a lot. He's more of an investor, rental investor, but he's done 2 in a row where he's hired this plumber who has put in the Ferrari of Ferraris of heating systems in both his flips. I'm talking $22,000 for a heating system. And, I try to tell him, like, look, he likes the guy. The guy does excellent work, but I show Patrick comments on this. I'm like, dude, I think you could have got a fairly good boiler in here for 10 grand. You know what I mean? You wouldn't believe, Patrick, you wouldn't believe the heating system he puts in.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's just that's his own personal preference, and that's a mistake. Yeah.
Like, I think you got to get people that you're working with these things that understand the investor game a little bit. You know what I mean? You certainly don't want to put in some crappy system, but you don't need the absolute best of the best.
Middle of the road. That's all you got to be. Middle of the road. That's it.
So Ben, is it your client saying, I want the best of the best? Is it the plumber saying, this is the one I'm going to put in and this is the price, and him not realizing that they could do it with a just as good, system, but cheaper? Like, where's that gap? Is the investor, do they not have their numbers written out?
Yeah. And honestly, on this one, the market carried him and he made some money. But when we were going into it, we listed at $499.9. I thought that might have been high. And of course, we're in the craziest real estate market ever. So he got $535, but he was going to lose money at that number. He was going to lose money because of this. And I said, the other flip he did, Sam G6 bought. So Sam owns one of the greatest heating systems ever put into a flip. So, but I just said to him, I said, you know, because he's learning, right? And he's a good guy, and he's an honest guy. He wants to deliver a good product, which he does. But we just had to talk. I'm like, man, you can't. $22,000 for a boiler is outrageous for a flipping Hanson.
Yeah, he's
You know,
losing
it's just
money.
a plumber though. This is what you got to put in. This is what you got to do. You know, so that's the thing. And it's hard. You learn, I guess. You know what I mean? I think you learn as you go. You know.
If it's $1 million home, you're going to do that, but not a $500,000 home. Doesn't make any sense.
Whoever the fella is that's doing the flipping, first off, if he needs to tell his contractors what he wants, and then if he doesn't, he won't be flipping too long. He'll
Right.
The one time, if you're new at it and you lose some money that quickly, it's not going to be very helpful for his how he feels about himself or what he's trying to do.
No.
He's just making money right now because the market's going forward. If it changes an inch, if it stops going up, just stops going up.
Yeah.
Right now, I've been pricing a couple of different, some underground work and some new construction, and the plastic's gone through the roof. Plastic with the resin and the plastic and all the underground and the PVC, you know, it's I want to say twice as much as it was 2 months ago, but it's going up all the time. Same thing with asphalt and oil. Look at the prices for fuels going up, what, 40 cents since the new president got in there. So that's going to change what some of these people have to do for driveways. That changes what they have, the cost to run their equipment. So those guys aren't going to want to lose money when they come down and start doing the job. They're going to say, hey, this is not me. This is what the cost has gone up. And some of those guys make money on a higher end burner. You know, as far as what they cost to purchase it, they might make more on that when they sell it or put it in. So there's a reason they're going in that direction. Sometimes it's lipstick is what works, but
Right.
not all the time.
Not all the time. Right.
And to Zeb's point, I mean, look at the market can change. Patrick knows, he talked about this when we did the interview with him. You know, he was in the middle of a flip and then all of a sudden the market changed, boom, and then he lost money, right? So if if you're putting in the high ends of everything as an investor, you better watch out because the market could change and now you're upside down. Right?
In an instant.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So clearly, so that brings us to, you know, page 173, the lead generation model. You know, what are you looking for? Right? What do you need? What's your criteria? Right? And that's on page somewhere. There's a whole chart. Page 187, right? What condition well, it's actually on 184 and 187, right? You know, what's your location? What's your type? You know, what are the conditions? What's the construction? What are the features? Like, what do you need? How much are you going to pay for, you know, updates? You know, what's your budget? That's all in there. So can I share something with you while we're talking about that?
No.
All right. So anyways, all right, going to the next page. Okay, I want to listen to Ben. All right.
Tough crowd.
Oops. Can you see that?
Yes.
So this inspired me to do my criteria. So I did it on, you know, what I'm looking for. These are the towns. I'm looking for a 3 to 4 family. This is my price range. My cash flow, it's, you know, 300 to 1,000, you know, based on what they're getting for rent at 630. And I did these numbers based on a property that I talked to Zeb about. You know, at the beginning, because the rents were very low, I didn't even care to make cash flow. It was more about the appreciation than anything. But knowing that I could, you know, raise the rents to have more market value, then I would, you know, obviously make more money there. You know, what my repairs would cost. You know, needs cosmetic. You know, my condition needs minor cosmetic repairs. If I have plumbing or electrical issues, I don't care because I have family that can do that for me. I don't want oil heat. I prefer, I mean, unless it's amazing opportunity, then I would change that, but I really would rather have gas heat. So, you know, you need to know what you need to know what you're looking for. And this is what the chapter talked about. You need to know what you're looking for so that when you'll know when you find it. Right? Or when you're talking to people, hey, Bill, like, this is what I'm looking for. Like, can you find something? Like, this is my criteria. And Bill may find something sometime day that he doesn't want to buy, but that I can buy. right? They had a whole section of that, and I did it for everything. My mobile home park that I want to buy someday, I'm working on that one. Condo criteria and single family, Alabama, right? So, you know, it's good to have these things, and then, you know, as the market, you know, changes, or your financial situation changes, you can decide, you know, what else do I want to add to the portfolio.
Can I tell you just real quick though, it's like, there's nothing more frustrating to me over the years of working with investors and buddies of mine. Yeah, I'm looking to buy investment property. Okay, well, where? Anywhere. So what are you thinking? What type of property? It depends. So what's the price point? Well, that depends too. You know, like, you know, you're just never going to find anything. I tell them that too. Like, you're never going to find anything. Like, you gotta at least narrow your focus to get some sort of result. And it's just tough.
Yeah, so tell them to read the MREI book and say, and after you read it, come back to me with your list, your criteria, and then I'll help you. But that's the thing, you're never going to find it if you don't know what you're looking for. And because you need to be ready to buy right away, you know, be prepared to do it, especially in this market, you don't have time to think. You really need to know ahead of time what you're looking for.
When
right?
somebody, as Ben just describes, then it's up to me to corral them, to give them advice on what to do, because they stayed up late one night and saw somebody on TV at 2 o'clock in the morning how to make $1 million flipping real estate. So
Right.
number one, I'd be worried about them being up at 2 o'clock in the morning watching a show like that. If you have to narrow it down, you want to tell them if they start in a smaller house, if they're doing flips, the least expensive is I believe is the way to go. So the least expensive might be down south a little further, Hanson, Carver, somewhere down that way. And you get some of those small ranches. And if it doesn't work and you put your money into it, because some of the money that people are putting up of everything they saved, then they could rent it out and cover it, or maybe make a little bit. The guys in Braintree that are buying those ranches, the California styles, and putting second levels on, and then pushing 750, 800. That could change. As Ben mentioned, one of his buddies almost got in trouble once just recently. You got to keep an eye on that. So the least expensive is the good way to start, to get your feet wet. And you could probably do a little bit of work yourself down there. You know, some of the outside work, whatever. It doesn't have to be spectacular, because the people that can afford that area will probably like to see a house that's had some work done to it, especially some of the major components. You know, roof isn't as expensive as people think. Roofs
Right.
aren't bad to do. Guys can get through that real quick. It's when they start getting into the walls that makes a little bit of a difference. They can say the electric was updated, but that might just be the box itself. What's in the walls makes a difference. So if you can go further south and buy a smaller house, you get the first time home buyer. You know who does a lot of that is the McKissicks. I went to their classes at one of the family reunions, and they like buying single families everywhere. Ranch style single families, basement, no basement. That was their big thing. And the reason they said is later on they could sell it for retail instead of an investor trying to buy something for wholesale, which they thought the investors would do that. Right now that's changed because the cost for an investment property is through the roof. If you try to buy a brick building, that range of $3 to $5 million, it's an unusual range right now, because some of the lower end investors are able to sell their 3 families, put a lot of money and purchase something in that range because of the interest rates. After that, it's a different group, 10, 12, 20 million.
You know, Steve, it's funny you say that, because we're doing the MREI, we're doing this book, but like, if you listen to people like Grant Cardone, they're incredibly intimidating, especially people just starting out. And you're absolutely right. Like the ones that I own a ranch in a Cape, and the way I look at it, it's like, if I can't rent it, I can probably sell it. You know what I mean? And if you start small, you don't have to go huge. And I think that's great advice. I mean, honestly, and again, if you're flipping it or if you're holding it, and people always want the little ranches and capes, no matter what market you're in. People will look to either rent or buy them for sure.
Yeah, and you can even get more of the population, because the people that are retiring typically want 1 floor. So you get more people that would, purchase that home. And Kate said this when we talked to her, and to Zeb's point with the McKissicks, part of their criteria is brick homes, brick single families. That's what they look for. They don't want to deal with the maintenance. And it was actually, it was in the section too. I don't know if it was, I've read a little further, so I'm not sure what page it was on.
I don't know if it's down south, there's more bricks. That's why they say that. Is that?
Yeah, because they live in Texas, so they.
Oh,
do that
Alabama.
area.
Alabama.
Yep.
Kate will not buy one that's not brick. She
Yep.
won't buy one. And I, like an idiot, I don't think either one of mine are brick, but that's beside the point. But
And that's great advice, though. That was great advice from her because, you know, those are things you don't really think about,
Right.
but it makes sense, you know? And that's, again, inner circle. That's why we're doing this.
Can I ask a question about the brick though? Because wouldn't the brick be more expensive because you would have to repoint the whole house if it was, you know, not in great condition?
I think down south, I think there's different weather conditions there. Like I
Right.
think the brick probably lasts longer than it does around here with the winter battering it. That's why I think they're popular.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of places down south, they don't do basements. Basements are considered a negative thing, you know, that they're wet and cause issues, which around here it's a plus. So it's like different customs or culture as far as housing goes.
Because we have a lot of crap we need to store down there.
Yeah, they just use your yards down in Alabama.
I think all of that there,
Or your rental properties.
Yeah, I know.
basements and siding are all weller related.
Yeah.
Or both.
Mhm.
It's either a high water table or to keep the heat out in the summertime is the brick. And that's what they go for. It's cooler inside. So they're all weller related, as are roofs, if it's slate or tile or whatever in Florida, stucco, same thing.
Yep. Awesome. So circling back to the APB, the all properties bulletin. So like, again, having your criteria, they had a script in here. It was page 190. So I'm going to read it because it was cool. So when you're making your calls, obviously you want to have your criteria ready, right? But we'll use what they said here. So I need your help. I'm looking for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath duplex, price between 125 and 150. Ideally, I'd like them to be close to downtown, off Opportunity Square, or on the main bus line in Overlook Hills. I don't mind some cosmetic repairs, but nothing serious. I prefer brick construction if possible, and it would be great if there was a privacy fence. Please let me know if you see any properties that meet that description. I mean, that's what you want your clients to say to you, right, Ben? Right? And when you're lead generating for your properties, you want to have it down, because how is someone going to know if they find something they'd be interested in if they don't know what you're looking for?
100%. And Bucher, you can share that with your inner circle. You know, we
Yep,
talked
right.
about your inner circle of people. And then you constantly, that's something you could send out to them. Hey guys, and girls, keep this in mind. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And the other thing, that inner circle, just because we have a real estate license, all of a sudden, they may see us and they're like, hey, we want to start buying some properties too. So by default, you may just sell some more houses, trying to get some deals. Or like what you said, if we all had that list, what's to prevent the 11, 12 people on here from saying, hey, Margaret has something that I want and I have something that Patrick wants. So, I mean, that's the whole thing, off-market deals, obviously, especially in this market, is the only way I think you're going to get a deal. I think the deals are coming. Patrick and I talked about this the other day. It's just a matter of be patient. As an investor, I can tell you from me, the last 12 months about patience is killing me. But I know you can get in trouble when you're not patient. So I have to sit back and just keep putting money away, keep doing what we're doing, and just, the deal is there. You just wait for it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kristen, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
So, and just not to, I don't want to stray away from the book too much, but a couple quick things. My son, Jake, who, I've been selling real estate close to 25 years now, and he's just getting into it. And I am like pointing him directly in the investor route.
Yeah.
I'm like, biggest mistake I ever made in my life is not doing what Steve Zabosky did. You're 19, he's gonna be 20 in a couple weeks. I'm like, he's networking with these investor people. He's doing these Zoom calls with all these young investors out of the city. He's got this software called Deal Machine. He's like, Dad, he pays like $50 a month for it, and he finds deals. And he's like, Dad, I had to do like 1,000. I had to do like 1,000 outreaches before I got one response. I'm like, sounds about right. I'm like, you need to do 10,000, you know, so it's hard to find them right now. But, and I don't want this to spiral out of control. My next comment, I just have a comment on it. You know, I'd be interested with Patrick and maybe Steve thinks, you know, I hear a lot of the investor people saying it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. There's a moratorium, there's a moratorium. I mean, the current administration is sending people money in their mailbox. I'm not that convinced that if something happens and there's some sort of a crisis, that there's not going to be big bailouts again, which would cause the prices to kind of stay where they're at. I don't want to stray from the book. I'm just curious what maybe Patrick or Steve or anyone else who knows a little bit about that has to say about that.
Well, I'll jump in there. Nobody has a crystal ball. That is for sure. Right now, my feeling is the real estate market's a bit like the stock market. It really is. It really is. And if something goes up, whether that's interest rates, and there's a lot. My opinion is, and it's because there's a lot of people getting money. There's a lot of people getting really lazy now, Ben. Within a year, just think about it. A lot of people getting those funds that are, I don't have to go back to work mentality. Sooner or later, all those bills are going to come in, and they're going to be forced back to work, whether the work takes them back in or not. I don't know. I'm sitting back again. This could go on for another 6-7 years, just like 100 years ago did with the Roaring '20s, and then the shit hits the fan. Who's to know? I'm sure Steve's doing a big project right now. I bet you can't wait to get that done and dusted, Steve, because it's the unknown, right?
Well, that project hasn't even, I've been working on it for 2 years in the starting phase to purchase it.
Right.
Which is going to happen in the next month and a half. So,
right.
But that brings me back to the idea that the affordability of doing it, I've been doing this long enough, and the interest rates have gone down and values have gone up, as have rents. So instead of taking a note out to buy the property, I'm just refinancing everything because the rates went down so much. So the only negative is I'm pushing out my payments on some of my properties longer by refinancing. But I'm hedging the idea that no matter what I do, by buying the property, I can turn around. I've already had people making inquiries about it, that I can make money immediately if I just sold the paper on it. But I don't want to do that. I'd rather build it out because I think there's 3 years worth of work. So, but I'm looking at other properties where I think house lots, if somebody buys one house lot in Braintree for $400,000, that's at the top value. If there's a tip on that, just a change, they're not going to make any money, and they might just selling it to do some work and make a paycheck. The builders have something they got to look at right now and worry just a little bit, not a lot. But when you see the air come out of the balloon, then you have to, I guess I've watched some properties, I see some price reductions, but I think that's because the people are pushing it too high anyways.
Yeah.
You always want to be in the lead. If it's going up, be in the lead. If it's coming down, be in the lead. I had to do that once over on Parker Street for some condos. And I told the fellow I was working with, we want come 10 grand less than where we started. He wasn't happy about it. And we sold them out with some other people held on, and it didn't work. So I made less, but got out of it. I wouldn't be, if you're going to invest and you have the money to invest, I bought property and had to sit on it for years before I could do anything with it. I just sat on it and made payments, but 10 years later, it was worth sitting on and making those payments. It's always gonna, there is something about owning property. It's not as, I don't know, Patrick talked about stocks. Stocks can go right down to nothing and then you got nothing. Property's gonna stay there.
Right.
Just sit on it. And Gene Irvis said in one of his classes too. So let's just say you buy a property for 500,000, even if your cash flow is even nothing, if it's $1, right? And that tenant is paying off that mortgage, and then you go to sell it, you're still making money because of the appreciation. You didn't pay it down. That money didn't come out of your pocket. It came out of your tenant's pocket.
Even if it doesn't appreciate.
Even if it doesn't appreciate, exactly.
Right.
I mean, it kind of
Right.
does, like, even if you sold it for the same price that you bought it for, right, that's what I meant. Yeah, thank you for the clarification. Yeah,
I'd be glad to help.
thank you so much. That's why you're in my inner circle, Steve.
I am?
You are, you want to see? I'll show you. So I did this
That's
too.
enough.
Ah, look, can you
There's a
see
lot of
that?
that going on.
Wait.
I got a Me Too movement going here.
Can you see? It's terrible. So look, I started working on this. Fun, huh? And then Patrick just reminded me, I need an insurance agent, so I'm going to add that over here to the green
Yeah.
circle. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
That's a sexy graph.
You like that? I like
Mhm.
my colors. So, anywho,
Now you got to put it to work.
I am. Trust me. My brother
Too
and I
many
talk like
people,
8
too
times
many
a
people
day.
do this and they don't put it to work. It's like you're going to school for a lifetime. You never use it.
Zeb, maybe if you kept that listing and didn't give it to Clary, then I would have
I didn't
bought
give
the
anybody
property by
anything. You
now.
know that. It
I
wasn't me
know,
that
I know.
gave it up.
I know. That's a topic for another conversation. I'm mad about that. We had that all locked in. We had the numbers. My brother was psyched about it. And then they sold it from under me. But there'll
Plus,
be
we
another
talk about
one.
a fast market. Somebody just bought it and wasn't even listed.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you have to make your own. The opportunity is always going to be there. You just have to search for it. There's the part that you have to search for it.
Yep.
You have to search for the opportunities. You
Lead
have to-
gen.
You be patient.
That's what it is. You got to shake the trees, whether for a listing or opportunities to buy land or buy a property. If you think about it, and I've said this before, if you understand the construction part of it, you could put less money down on a piece of land. If you bought a piece of land for $200,000 and had to put 30% down, that's 60. And then the bank, if you know what you're doing, will finance you the construction. All right. So if you go to, and you can be something worth $1.5 million, $2 million. But if you have to buy a property that's already existing for $1 million, you need $300,000 to make it work. And the same value is going to be there when you finish.
Mm-hmm.
You have more money. It's just because you get the sweat equity by building it out. And the cost, you got to get something 4 or bigger to make it to work. But that's for another day. I'm going in the wrong direction.
That's fine. We're masterminding. That's what it's about today. We can
Can I
talk
ask
about whatever we want.
Can I ask a question about, I don't know, tips and tricks to trying to track down like an owner? Like say if you see a property that you think could be prime as an investment, but maybe it's vacant. You look on public record, you see a name, but you're unable to come up with, any contact information for that person. How do you kind of dig deeper?
Go up
Go.
and knock on the door.
Steve knocks
Leave
on the
a note
door.
on the door.
Okay. And what if you don't get a response to that?
Ask
How
the
bad do you want
neighbors.
it?
What?
Billy,
Ask
how
the
bad do you-
neighbors.
Bill,
Patrick, say what you just said, then Bill say what he said, then Ben say what you were gonna say.
Thank
Patrick,
you,
what did you say?
moderator.
You're welcome. Patrick,
Ask the neighbors.
Okay.
Bill,
How bad do you want it? You know what I mean by that?
Ben.
If you want something bad enough, you'll go get it.
Yeah.
Bill, I mean, I'm just telling you, like I said, my son is networking with all these networking groups. There's a lot of really unique groups out there now that have these Zoom calls and stuff. They've been before, but like I said, he uses that Deal Machine software, like this software out there. He's telling me the other day, he's like, Dad, I can find a house. I can get people. I can figure out it's vacant house. He's like, this software will get me their home number, their home address, especially with vacant second homes, their email, their cell phone. I mean, there's products out there that you can use that are available. I mean, I don't really look at them, so I'm kind of talking a lot of school, but that's what's I've been told.
okay, here's an idea, and this was in the book too. Call Jake,
Mhm.
tell him what you're looking for, and give him a finder's fee.
He would love that. He would love that.
Say, this is what I'll give you.
Just don't tell compliance Donna, okay?
We won't.
Right.
This is,
You know, if you,
Why
if
don't
you,
you have Jake would be a good guy to be on one of these shows.
Yeah.
Well, he was gonna come on today and I wanted him to,
Ah,
but Sean sent him to a smoke cert in Brockton, so there you go. But no, he's on him all the time, and I am, like I said, he's 20, encouraging him. I'd rather, I can't say enough. Biggest mistake I made in my life in this business is not listening to guys like Steve Zabosky and not buying as I go. Now I'm a 48-year-old guy, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm doing it now, but my main focus is kind of with him. And so I feel like, that's how I feel about it. I feel very strongly about it with him too. I'm like, dude, like Steve just said, I'm like, even if you buy a condo in downtown Plymouth somewhere, maybe you're paying more than it is. You're 20. You know what I mean? You're 20.
Right.
And like that stark quote me when Steve said that, like, you're young enough to buy stuff even in an elevated market that at the time will carry it along, and that sort of thing. Get a 2-bedroom condo in downtown Plymouth. Plymouth's super popular. Get a roommate. House hack it for a while. You're a landlord there as a young guy and learning how to do these things. So he's working at it.
Right.
Ben,
And-
I
and-
agree 100%. That's
Yeah.
what I'm doing. My kids, I said, all right, you're going to work and you're taking the money, half of it, which I take more. I take it out and I move it from their checking account to their savings. And I said, this is for your house. By the time you're 25, you each are going to own a multifamily and you're going to live in it and someone else is going to pay the rent. End of story. That's how
Right.
we work it.
right.
And they've already got a really good down payment. Because what do? They get Chipotle. That's all they do. They don't
Yeah.
really need anything,
Yeah.
there's another
Yeah.
way to find property. And if it's vacant and it looks derelict, and to you it looks derelict, as you drive by, it looks derelict to the town.
Mm.
And the town has probably been chasing these people. So what I've done in the past is, if you go to the building department and they call it an envelope or a file,
Yeah.
give them the address. They might have something there, and it's public record. You can flip through it. Might be a little difficult now with COVID. And you might find, as I have in the past, a cell number. And then you call up. And it might say, I went by your property, I just say it, listen, I went by your property on such and such a street. I'd like to purchase a property. Just like that. What's your plan? And they'll start getting into their family dynamics, why it looks like it does, or, we're gonna do something with it. Well, if you're gonna do something with it, I wanna buy it. Or no, we're gonna fix it up. Well, if I don't see anything going on, a month later, I'll call again. Then you can find out if they owe money on taxes, because the more the town's on them, the more heat the town gives them, the better off you are.
Yeah.
Right.
You could be a
Well-
savior for those people, but
There is this one that I'm thinking of. I have called the town and they are current on their taxes, which blows my mind because I would describe it the way you just described.
derelict.
Yeah.
But see that then, maybe somebody's got they're gonna do something with it. Who knows what they're about, what field, what business they're in. If there's family members that can do work, they got something else going on, how long they've owned it, what the zoning is. Zoning is big.
Does anybody want to buy one in Rockland? There's a terrible one on Spring Street.
Sure.
The whole front of the house is not there. Terrible.
For those, I always stay. For me personally, I stay away from those because those are basically teardowns.
Right.
Oh, this is one too.
Once you get the town involved and all the rest, but if that's your thing and you're going to, all depends what type of person you are. If you're going to clear the lot and put in a prefab, it all has to make sense.
Mhm.
For me,
How much does a tear down cost?
How much you have to tear down.
A
Yeah,
house. Let's just say there's a house that's all dilapidated. You gotta.
All depends on the size of the house. You wanna go to Halifax or Carver and take down a house the size of my computer, it's gonna cost you a couple of dumpsters and a machine. If you wanna
Right.
tear down a mansion, it's gonna cost you.
20,
how much
20
money?
grand,
Plus
20
you gotta
grand?
find out what's in it.
20 grand.
Asbestos, you got asbestos in there,
Yeah,
they just cost you some more money. And you have to have it inspected for that too. So you gotta pay for at least
Yeah.
the inspection. Not just the removal, but at least the inspection. It's
Yeah.
$1,500.
Before the tear down has to be inspected?
They want to know if there's any, before you get a demo permit, the building
Yeah.
department's gonna probably ask.
Yeah.
Have you had somebody to go out there to see if there's any asbestos? So you have
Yeah.
to get somebody that's in that business to give you paperwork that says Everything
Nope.
is good.
Yep.
And then quite often they need somebody to go out there to catch any rodents.
Rodents.
Yep,
Geez, we deal with everything here.
yep.
Okay.
There's no such thing as a free lunch, Bill.
I guess not.
No.
Well, when you tear the house down, they can all run away. So I don't know why you gotta do.
Well, you know what? I've had to catch them before and bring them somewhere that's like a sanctuary.
Oh, my gosh.
That means the person that bitched and moaned about it, I put it in them that backyard, so they wanted them.
Nice.
And not just rodents per se, but it could be possums, it could be a raccoon. If it's vacant long enough, they're living there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They'll definitely be there. That's why you can't show houses at night. Vacant
Right.
ones.
Right. So Bill wanted to share something with you guys, just to kind of follow up from one of his conversations that we had. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and then Bill, you can tell us all about this.
Sure.
All right. Where are you? All right. So this is Billy's property he owns.
That is not a lie for anybody who, I showed that picture, I know to Patrick, and poor bastard, I gave him flashbacks.
Yeah.
He started twitching. So that right there is a good idea, what your property is going to look like when you own in Worcester.
And you never go to it.
Yeah, I hadn't been there 8.5 years, so I probably was technically a slumlord. And we did get him out. That's the good news. It cost me nothing. It did not go to court. He voluntarily moved out about 30 days after he was supposed to be out. You know, it's not always sexy. That place is getting ready to get to be gutted and go back on the market. But that, you know, we talk about the great stories of real estate. They're not all great. That one to me is fine. Oh, by the way, that crack right there in the ceiling was apparently been leaking water for 2 years, and the tenant didn't want to tell me. He was afraid I would be mad. So yeah.
He was afraid you'd show up.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So did you inherit all this stuff, or did he take it with him?
So, you know, I got lucky. I got really lucky. I knew the laws better than he did. And I basically told him if he didn't clean the whole friggin' place up, I was taking him to small claims court. And he did not want to go to small claims court. He was very adamant. So he went back and he took everything. Ironically, that picture straight ahead, I wish you could zoom in on it.
Right here?
Because
Hold on.
up on the wall. Yeah, no, it goes straight up. So it's a bunch of presidents there. Ironically, my tenant's name was
Right,
Ben
oh,
Franklin.
right here?
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Ironically, my tenant's name was Ben Franklin, and in that picture is Ben Franklin. So the agent friend of mine who's out there in Worcester went, and she literally took a selfie, and she's like, "Is this Ben Franklin in Ben Franklin's apartment?" And it was an amazing picture. But yeah, I mean, it's not always sexy. I'll tell you, even in that condition, the property manager called me and asked me if I wanted to sell him the unit cash, just leave it as is. And I'm negotiating with him because I might. I'm looking at return. If the market out there turns just slightly, I'm not getting stuck in Worcester. Like it's not going to friggin' happen. You know, Patrick can relate. It's one of those things that if you take $5,000 less, 10 grand less, like, get me the hell out of there. I can sell an extra house next month. This was, I don't know if you can see it. This was actually the funny picture. That's Amy Dwyer just saying, is that Ben Franklin at Ben Franklin's place? So yeah, it's not always unicorns and kitty cats out there. That was it.
So what do we learn from Bill and Patrick? If you have an investment property, you should maybe go to it every, I don't know, year.
Yeah.
Go
inside.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know, if you don't have that was the first thing we ever bought, and I made so many mistakes, and it was okay. And I'll tell you that, you know, it was an okay okay property to screw up on. I bought it for $71,000.
Yeah.
I put down 14 grand on it, 20% at the time. And I've had tenants in there. I've replaced 2 refrigerators, carpet, had it painted, and I now owe $29,000 on it. So the tenants have paid it down. I'm going to rehab it for 15. It's going to go back on somewhere 105, 125. I'm leaning more towards that 105, just because I don't want to get stuck there. But it doesn't owe me anything, and I'll make money from it. And even though it was 17 years later, 16 years later, but buy closer to home, unless you have a management company, you know, that's buy in your backyard where you can drive by the properties and check them out.
Yep. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions for anybody here? Any comments?
No, it's just saying do something with this. You know, it's like we're all taking the time. Ben jumped off, but you know, Benny and I worked at Crescent Realty back. We were like 27, 28 years old. And there were guys there that were now our age, Ben and I's age, Mike Richardson. And he was always on the hunt for land and developments. And he had a handful of builders, and that was his grind. And, you know, I regret not trying to do all those things in the 20 years in between. There's no time like the present. You know, Steve had to start with his first one at some age, and the first one just built momentum. Just do something.
Yep.
That's all I got.
Leave a legacy.
Yeah.
Lead
You
by
might see
example.
Steve Sabowski's picture up in one of those paintings someday, Billy.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'll be getting electrocuted with my kite up in the air. Right?
So good. So good, Greg. Yeah, thank you for this, Bucher.
Yes.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Awesome. I appreciate you guys jumping on today. Hope you got something out of it. I hope it inspired you to, you know, at least write a list of your criteria and what you're looking for, because if it's just like our real estate business, if we don't have it written down, if we don't have a goal of what we need to do and how much money we need to make, it's the same thing. How do you know if you find it, if you don't, how do you know when you find what you're looking for, if you don't know what you're looking for?
I want a quick reminder. It's going to be myself or a town planner. I'm hoping will teach them about some of the overlays that are going on in Weymouth. I've asked the planner if it's possible for them to do that, and they're looking into it, where they could be on a meeting like this. I would need more participants from within the office, but they can describe why they have the overlays and what their plans are and what they like to see built. And the reason they have overlays is a little bit of what Bill talked about, Stone, in regards to derelict properties. There's a lot of them out there that have passed their usefulness for what they're built for. And the owners that have them might have had a small business there, or it's a house, and they can't get the most for it because of the zoning that's there. So there's 2 types of zonings: the zoning that was given and an overlay that lets you do more. And the reason the overlays are there is to make some of these throughways like Route 3A, Bridge Street, 58, 53, 18, which is a lot going on in Route 18, taking some old buildings and putting up nice new multis. Some of them are very large because companies come in and bought 3 lots. But somebody like yourselves can go in and buy a property and sometimes take what's there and make it into a multi. So you don't have to change the footprint, you just have to change what's inside. And there's some work to do that, but there's a big up value. So the towns want people like ourselves to go out and either sell them as agents or purchase them as buyers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that behind the scenes: Abington, Holbrook, Braintree, Weymouth, Whitman. And I think some of the smaller towns are going to have to realize that they need to have some multifamilies in their backyards too. Like Halifax doesn't have a 0.5% affordability, and every town's supposed to be up at 10. So they can only, and even I cut it out of the paper, the Baker administration recently passed something within a 1/2 mile of a train stop or the T that they're gonna now start forcing towns to let multifamilies be built there. They can only force them so hard, but what they do is they say, if you don't allow some multifamily construction that kids could be in, because a lot of towns change their zoning to keep up with what the state does to come back at what they don't want the state to give them the ability to do. If that makes any sense? The state's gonna start to hold back money, and the towns live off a lot of the state money, some funds. So that's coming down the pike too. There's a lot that can be done for us. There's a lot of work there. And if you know what that zoning is, you're gonna be more of an elite agent. You can help people out. I think Ben mentioned it, some of the people that he knows that want to. If you know that information, you're hitting out of the park. So that's it on my advertising.
This was sponsored by. All right. Thanks, guys and gals. I appreciate your time today and look forward to seeing you at our next wealth building class.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye,
Steve.
guys.
Bye.
Thank
Good to see
you.
me.
It is always.
Joan.
Bye.
Bye.